Today we will be reading The Boy Who Thought Outside the Box, the story of video game inventor Ralph Baer. On the streets of Cologne, Germany, a boy named Ralph Baer made his own fun. He rolled hoops on the sidewalk, he raced his scooter, he played stick hockey and biked with his best friend Herbert. Ralph played freely until being outside became too dangerous for a Jewish kid like him. Hitler, the leader of Germany, blamed the country's problems on Jewish people. He ordered his Nazi soldiers to attack Jews and other groups he disliked. Fear and hatred grew and grew. Boys in Ralph's neighborhood became bullies. They called Ralph names and tried to steal his bike. Even former friends became enemies. With no one to play with, Ralph spent more time indoors, tinkering with his construction set. He connected girders and gears, rods and brackets, pulleys and plates. The models in the manual were a cinch. Ideas for new inventions whirled and swirled in Ralph's brain. To build them, he needed more parts. But money was scarce. Ralph would have to make do with what he had. How else might he use the pieces and parts around him? He loved to configure and reconfigure, to invent. Ralph was a boy who thought outside the box. While Ralph built with his construction set, the Nazis built walls to keep Germans in and Jews out. Ralph's world grew smaller and smaller and smaller. At 14, he was kicked out of school because he was Jewish, but nothing could box Ralph into a corner. He kept studying on his own. He learned English and helped his family obtain visas to immigrate to the United States. In August 1938, Ralph and his family fled Germany. As newly arrived immigrants in New York, Ralph and his father found jobs at a leather goods factory. During the day, Ralph attached buttons to cosmetic cases. To make extra money, he brought piecework home at night. Ralph and his sister marked the leather by hand. Their mother sewed the pieces together. The whole family worked to rebuild their lives. Punch, sew, punch, sew. Could Ralph make their work go faster? He brainstormed a solution, drew up a design, and built a prototype. Punch, 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 punch. Ralph's first invention worked. Now the family could sew twice as many cases in the same amount of time. Ralph's curiosity couldn't be contained. Radio was all the rage, and Ralph wondered how the boxes of talk and music worked. The 17-year-old boy saved up his money and took a radio repair course. Soon he was fixing radios for the entire neighborhood. At the age of 21, Ralph was drafted into the army. At night, he and the other soldiers longed for news and entertainment. Ralph knew how to repair radios, but could he build one? He rounded up spare parts and started tinkering. His bunkmates shook their heads. They thought it would never work. But sure enough, Ralph had the barracks swinging in no time. After the war, a box of sound and moving pictures captured Ralph's imagination. He packed up his toolbox and took the train from New York to Chicago to study at an American Television Institute of Technology. By the end of the first semester, Ralph could build a TV set from scratch. Television soon replaced radio as most families' source of news and entertainment. With only 3 networks, viewers tuned in to a handful of programs. Most people thought TV was magical. Critics called it the idiot box for the way it captivated an audience. Ralph saw it as a box full of possibilities. After graduation, Ralph worked in a lab designing television sets. He used special testing equipment to draw lines and patterns on the screen. One day, he looked at the display and imagined a different use for the TV. Perhaps the television could be used to play games. Wouldn't that be fun? No one had ever played games on the TV before. In 1951, no one ever even dreamed of it, except Ralph. He tried to convince his boss to build games directly into television consoles. The boss dismissed Ralph's idea. Disappointed, Ralph boxed up his idea and shelved it away in the corner of his mind. Over the next 15 years, Ralph built electronic equipment for the U.S. military and for NASA. He developed spy equipment to listen in on Russian radio transmissions. He made a display console to monitor the Saturn V rocket. He embedded a radio transmitter in the handle of the video camera that astronaut Neil Armstrong took to the moon. He learned to put electronics in smaller and smaller places. One day in 1966, while waiting for his bus, Ralph unboxed his original gaming idea. Instead of building games directly into a television set, he imagined using an external box to control the TV to play games. Action games, board games, educational games, sports. Ralph drew up a design and got to work. Ralph had a new boss who loved his out-of-the-box thinking. He gave Ralph the money and people power to develop his idea. In a secret lab, Ralph and 3 other engineers built a box full of tubes, wires, and circuits. They adjusted switches and knobs to make a line on the screen. They created a ball that could bounce around. Their work felt like play. Everyone in the building wanted a turn. Over the next year, Ralph and his team tweaked their project, adding color, accessories, and sound. They built 7 prototypes and wrapped the last one in sticky wood-grained paper. Ralph's home TV game system, the Brown Box, was born. To get his console into people's homes, Ralph needed to make more, a lot more. To do this, he would need the support of a commercial electronics company. Ralph showed his brown box to cable and TV companies everywhere, but no one thought playing games on a television set was a good idea. Again and again, Ralph's idea was rejected. Finally, one company was inspired by Ralph's enthusiasm and vision. Magnavox agreed to create a simpler box based on Ralph's design. In 1972, the Magnavox Odyssey hit store shelves. For the first time ever, people discovered a fun new way to use their TV. After the Odyssey, Ralph invented other electronic toys and games. He left the video game industry in 1975, but his work inspired other people to advance this form of home entertainment. Radio technician, television designer, electronics engineer, video game pioneer, toy and game inventor, Ralph Baer forever changed the way we play.